Hi everyone, in this tutorial we're going to be recreating this car animation. A few days ago I saw this commercial for the new Bugatti Tourbillon and thought I should make something similar in Blender, and that is exactly what we are going to be doing in this tutorial. Without wasting much of your time, let's get to it. Alright, the first thing we'll be needing to remake the video is a car model, and since finding the exact Bugatti model used in the video can be challenging, I opted for a Porsche model I found on CG Trader right here, absolutely for free, and you can get the blend file, which even is much more easier. So I just went for the blend file format, and then I just click free download. And when you do that, you can just come to your new scene here and just press Ctrl V to paste it. Okay, so I have it pasted here, and what I will do is, since all of the car is still pretty much selected, what I will do is I'm just going to shift click on the body part last, which is this one, and I'm just going to press Ctrl P, object keep transform. Anywhere I move this part to, the whole car follows, and since we won't be animating the car but camera movement, it's going to be relatively simple. Alright, so I think I can drag up my timeline now, and then we can move to step 2, which is basically animating the camera movement. Alright, so what I'll do is I'm just going to press Shift A and add in an empty, and I'm going to add in an empty sphere right here. Just scale it a little bit down like so. I'm just going to add in a camera. Press Shift A, and I'm going to add in a camera here, and I'm just going to press Ctrl Alt number pad 0. Maybe this would be a good point to create a new window, so I'm just going to click and drag out like so. So we have a new window right here. Then I don't want this to be too much. I'm going to press T to close the toolbar. Maybe hide these gizmos here because I don't think we need them. Then basically what I will do is, for the camera resolution, I'm just going to set this to 1080 by 1920 instead, because that's all we want. Press G and then maybe Y to bring it along like so. Maybe I'll just press GY to bring it in a little bit. Then in the camera settings, let me turn the passepartout value to 1. You can bring this out, don't worry about that, since it's the one that I'll be using. So looking through from here, this is what we have. Then for the focal length, I'm going to change it to 120. So let's see how that looks. Okay, so that is way too close, so I'm just going to press G, hold down my middle mouse, and I'm just going to dull it out like so. So you just want to bring it somewhere here, which is nice. Then what I'll do next is I am just going to still select the camera, then shift click on this empty sphere last, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press Ctrl P, object keeps transform. Now if I rotate the empty, you can see that the camera is going to follow. So what I'll do is, on frame 1 right here, I'm just going to press R, I mean not R, I'm going to press I in my viewport here to insert a keyframe. Then when I get to frame 122, I am just going to press N to bring this side by here. Then in my item, I just want to rotate this on the Z axis by, I think, 410. You can use 360, but I'm not going to use 360. I'm just going to use 410, and I'm just going to insert single keyframe. We'll just come to frame 90, and what we'll do is, on the Z, we're just going to reduce it back so that we slow it down a bit. This is what you want, so I think we can just use 200 for this one. Then I'm going to right click again, insert single keyframe. Okay, so if we should play this now, what you observe is that it's starting slow and then just building up and just rotating. It just looks linear, and everything looks so not nice. So what I'll do is I'm going to select these first two keyframes here, and what I'll do is I'm going to press T to make it linear, which means that it has a constant rotation value, and it's just rotating around, rotating around. But what I'll do next is, when we get to these two keyframes here, I want it to speed up then slow down. So what I'll do is I'm going to press T, and I'm going to make this one busier. Then what I'll do is I can just press Control Tab to go to my graph editor now. So basically this is what we have. So between here and here, it's just going linear and just moving like that. But between here, I want it to speed up when it gets here. So what I'll do is I'm just going to select this handle right here, and I'm just going to bring it towards this side. So that way it's happening fast and then just moving, coming to an end slowly like this, just coming to the plateau here. So if we play this now, this is what we have. So you can see it's just moving up at constantly. Then when it gets here, it just speeds up and then slows down again, which is what we want. So yeah, that's for like the first scene and all. I'm just going to animate the focal length of the camera. So we want it because based on the MT we have here, it's stopping on frame 122. So I'm just going to select the camera and I'm going to set the first focal length to 120. Then when we get to frame 122 here, you can increase it 200. So using this, and I'm going to keyframe that. So if we play this now, so it's just rotating around like so, and then when it gets to some point, it's just going to speed up and just rotate like that, which is cool. So we know that when it gets about this point right here, it's getting close. So I think about this place would be a good part for us to transit it into another camera, which is just going to move across into the interior of the car and then just come out like so. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come to this first frame here, and with the camera selected, I'm just going to press Ctrl B. And what this is essentially telling Blender is that at this frame here, this is the active camera that I want to be seen, which is why you have it here. Then when we get to about this point here where it's about to end, I'm just going to transition to another camera. So to do that, it's simple. You can just come to let's see. So I'm just going to bring it up here, and I'm just going to select this, just bring it in. And what I'll do now is I'm just going to add in a new camera. So I'm just going to press Shift A. I'm going to add in another camera. Then right here on this timeline keyframe here, I'm just going to press Ctrl B, meaning that I want this to be the active camera in view. Control Alt number pad 0, and now you can see that this is what we have. So I'm just going to play around with the same settings. This is also set to the same setting as that of the camera, so which is nice. So we have it here. You will be changing the focal length from 50 to something like 20 depending on what you want, and you can bring it in by pressing G and then you're using your scroll wheel to just dolly into it like so. Maybe not 20, maybe just leave it as 25 or so, maybe something like this. Then let me just press G and Y to bring it somewhere around here. So I'm just going to bring it even closer. So let me press R, Y to just rotate that, maybe GZ to bring it in like this. So we want it to be very very close to it. So I'm going to set the passepartout value of this camera as well to 1 so that we can just check how it is. Press R, maybe R, Y or Z rather, and I'm just going to press G, Y to just bring it here, and then you want to bring it closer. Yes, maybe something like this is what you want, which is perfect. Just drag it out a bit, and then maybe GZ to move it up. Just moving the camera movement and then making it into it. So what I'll do is I'm just going to press I to insert a keyframe for location here. Select the camera, which is the second camera here. Again, come to my object constraint. Then we need to have an object constraint of track to. So we want to track it to a particular part of this car here, which is the dashboard. So what I'll do is I'm going to hide the body first, and then hide in some other part here. And what we're going to do is, since we already insert a keyframe for one right here on frame I think 230, we're going to add some movement, but first we need to track it to the dashboard here because that's what we want to do. So I'm just going to select this eyedropper here and just fix it on this dashboard since that is what we want to show. So now if I just move the camera along here, maybe when we get to frame 230 and I just press G, you can just see now that it's following and it's just being tracked to this part right here, which is what we want. So that's basically how I animated that scene, and that is what we'll be doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press GX, and I'm just going to move it like so. I just want to make sure that other part, yeah, which is cool. So basically we'll track it to that dashboard, and I just want to move it out like this to make sure that every part. Then when I get here, I'm just going to click that, and I'm going to insert a keyframe by pressing I. So now if I press Alt H to I on hide everything, and we play this now. So starting from frame 1, you can see it's dragging into it. The focal length is increasing, then it speeds up, and when we get here, you just transit to this camera right here, and what you have is it just entering here, and then just boom, and it goes out like that, which is nice. Now this is very cool. Now if I select this camera again, maybe what I'll do is I'm just going to select both keyframes, and I'm just going to press Ctrl E, and what I want to do is I want basically an ease in and out. So to make it like the easing, want it to be super smooth, and it just moves like that, and boom. So we know that the animation here is ending around frame 230, and then we want it to be back to sort of that loop effect. Alright, so I think I kind of know what to do. So when we get to like frame 230 right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the active camera to be this camera 1 right here, the first camera rather. So I'm going to set the active camera to this camera. So I'm going to select the first camera, and then on frame 230 I'm just going to press Ctrl B again, so you can see it's set to that. Then I'm going to select the empty, and what I'll do is I'm just going to select the keyframe, and I'm just going to press Shift D and just start it again from frame 230. Alright, so let's see how that looks. So we start rotating around, spinning, and then you just speed up again, transit into this camera, just moving like so, then you come out, and boom, just moves out like so, and then you transit into this camera like so. Yeah, so pretty much that's how I want it to be done. Maybe what I can do instead is I feel like the camera movement here is already slowing down at this point. So maybe what I'll do is for this camera, I can I can move it early. It doesn't have to stop when the animation stop. So maybe when it's like getting out, I just transit it to this camera right here. And then maybe for the animation, you can make it end early too. So maybe bring it close like so. So let's see how that looks. So it's coming out, and then just transit into this. Now this one is slowing down, which is what we want to avoid. So maybe I can make this start early for this one right here, so that it won't look as if it was slowing. And yeah, you just get like that. So boom, that's all for the um, camera movements and animation. Now let's go to adding in textures and material. So the first thing I'll do again is let's save, because it can crash, and we try as much as possible to avoid that. Alright, so for the third step, we can go into lighting the scene and just finish up this animation basically. So I'm going to change the render engine from Eevee to Cycles, and for the number of samples I'm just going to leave it as is default, since I'll be rendering from my CPU. And for the color management, the view transform is AJX, and the look is punchy, and I don't think we need to change anything. Maybe the light part to save some rendering time, I may have to play with that, but I'm just going to leave it at this for now. Then I'm going to change this to the viewport shading, so that we can see it in rendered view. Alright, so this is what we have. So you can see basically that there is no light now scene. So what I'll do first is I'm just going to press Shift A and add in a plane to serve as the background. Then I'm just going to come here. You want to make sure that the plane is below the tires. You don't want it to be above it. That would be so wrong. So maybe something like this will do. Then you can just scale it as many times you want. Basically make sure you scale it till it covers the whole of your camera resolution. So I'm just going to scale this like 20 times. No, 20 won't cover everything, so let's say scale it 40 times. So let's see how that looks. Will it cover? Yes, it will. Nice. Then what I'll do next is I'm just going to add in a spotlight. So I'm just going to press Shift A, and then I want to add in a spotlight. Then I'm just going to press GZ to move it up like so. Then what I want to do is for the power, I want it to be something like 10,000 watts. So boom, we have the spotlight there. Then the next thing I'm just going to do is if you zoom in, you can see that this is what we have. And I'm just going to increase the blend so that we have more like softer shadows and all that. And let me just see if there's any setting I need to play with here. So let me select the spotlight here, set a soft fall off, and I think for the beam shape here I use something like 40. So let's do that here as well. Yeah, maybe something like this would be cool. So far so good. This is the main light that I used. I don't think I used any other light when lighting the scene. No. So maybe what I can just do this time around is perhaps use a reflector, because I think if we use a reflector it can just bounce off some lights, but we don't want it to show in our scene as well. So let's try that. So what I'll do next is I'm just going to press Shift A, and I'm just going to add in a plane. I'm going to press RX 90 or RY 90. Then maybe what I'll do is I'm just going to bring it somewhere here, maybe rotate it like so. We're not going to let this show, we just want it to reflect some light. So I'm just going to press GZ to bring it up like so, and let's see how that is. So we have it just bouncing some light here. Then what I want to do is, since we don't want it to show in our scene, just come to your object mode here, under visibility, just turn off the ray visibility of the camera. So it's still reflecting the light, but it's not basically going to show it. So let's see. So yeah, just have it across here. Let's see if I increase the scale, since it won't be showing. Or let's just play that and see for now. Let me hide overlays. So you can see it's reflecting the light, but it's not showing, which is what you want. So maybe what I will do is I will duplicate it quite a number of times. So let me reduce it on the Z axis. So I'm just going to place it at various points in my scene here. So I'm going to scale on the X, and I'm just going to press Shift D, bring another one here. We're just using this to reflect light basically, and it won't be visible in our camera, so don't worry about that. So I'm just going to press X, and maybe what I'll do is press R to rotate this, and maybe bring it here. Now that's too far, let's bring it back. This is just to reflect some light. It's not going to show in your scene, and let's see how that looks. Perhaps maybe you can put another one at the back, and or maybe not. I'm just going to leave that in as well. So now for the plane right here, let's give it a material, and what I'll do is I'm just going to set this to a black material. So I'm going to click new, and then for the base color I want it to be black like so, and then I want to turn the roughness to 1. So instantly you can see that this is what we have, which is very nice. And I think for these reflectors right here, perhaps we can add an emission to them. Let's see how that will look. So I'm going to change this to the shader editor. So I'm going to select one of these. I'm going to click new. Since we've disabled the ray visibility in the camera, I think it shouldn't show if we give this an emission strength of let's say 1. Yeah, that's nice. So we basically can see that it's reflecting light, but we don't know where it's coming from, which is quite cool. So let me do the same for this as well. So you can set it to an emission of 1. So you can just see those lights filling out some portions. Let me see. So if I play this, I just want to ensure that that is okay. So we can still see it in the shadows here, which is sort of a problem. I actually didn't do this when I was making the first render I made. I'm just trying to try it out here to see if there won't be a problem. Alright, so that's just going to be the only problem I might have. So I think we're not going to do it. I'm just going to do it that way. So you can do it that way if you want, by adding some emission, but I think I don't need to. So I'm just going to leave it at the default, just reflecting light and basic stuff like that. But one thing we'll do though is adding another light to our scene. So if I just go back to my timeline here, one thing you observe is by the time we get close here and we move close into the um interior of the car, you can see that there is no light showing us the interior. So what we are going to do is we have to create in another light to just show us the bit of the interior part, and that is also very simple. So what I'll do again is hide some parts of the car. So I'm going to hide the body, I'm going to hide the roof here, and what we are going to do basically here is we're going to add an area light. So let me just show you what I mean. So what you observe here is if I hide this at the top here, so if I hide this, if I hide this, if I hide this, what you observe is that I have strategically placed an area light inside here. So we have an area light that is just emitting light into the car interior. So we're going to do the same here. So I'm just going to come here, and what I'll do is I'm just going to press Shift A, and I'm going to add an area light. I'm going to press GZ to move this up. So instantly you can see that we can see the interior already. And maybe what I'll do is I'm just going to press G Y to move it along, then you can press R GZ to bring it down, then you can just press Alt H to hide everything. So again, I'm going to select the light, and I'm just going to press GZ to move it down, and maybe reduce the size, don't want it to be too much. Then finally I'm going to increase the power. So yeah, so this is a light, and just passing across, and then let's see from this perspective here. Yeah, so you can just see that light just emitting and then just upping. Okay, so looking at this now, I still feel like this scene is quite dark. So maybe what I'll do is now for the world, I'm just going to give you something sort of a slightly bluish color, and maybe increase the value up a bit so that we have some light in our scene. You can use an HDRI to also light, but I feel like the HDRI is going to spoil what we have. So finally, maybe what I'll do is what we didn't want to do before. I'm just going to come to the shader editor, and right here we're just going to add in some reflectors, emission to our reflector object. So maybe we'll just move it up so that they don't become quite visible. So maybe for this one I'm just going to make it 1 as well, just to reflect in some light, because it's not going to look quite cool if the whole scene is dark. So I'm selecting this one as well, I'm clicking new, and I'm just selecting an emission, so 1 as well. So instantly you can see the difference that is making. But the only problem, as we talked about, is when we are in our timeline here. So when you get like this part, not that part, this one right here, because you can just see that on the screen, which is not what we want. Let me check the shading to see if there's another thing I can just disable. Let me see if I turn off transmission. It's not transmission, we don't want it to be visible in our camera, but this part right here is making it reflective, which is not what I want. Okay, so what we can do is you can just disable, no, not showing renders. Is it showing renders? If I disable it in showing viewport, it's not going to show in our viewport. is that what I want to do? I don't want it to be visible in my camera, so if I turn off shadows, that's still going to show. What about diffuse? Volume scatter? It's not volume scatter as well. You just have to look for a way that it's not going to show here. So maybe what I'll do is I'm just going to move it up. I'm just going to press GZ and just move it up like so. Is that what we want to do? I basically just don't want it to show in my scene through the mirror. That's what I'm trying here. But I don't think that will be possible because that's way too up now. Alright, so I think we need to look for a way to go about this. I mean, what if, um, I'm sorry for for taking your time. Actually, we're pretty much done, but we're just trying to adjust till everything is quite perfect. I'm just looking for a way to not make it show. That's just what I'm trying here. What if I bring it here? Okay. I think we're making some progress here. And I scale. All right. So I think we have something that it's not quite showing everything, but it's a little bit better than what we had before. So you can see it's just reflecting some light here, which is quite nice. And for this as well, so let me see if we get to this point here. This is what we have. So it's showing on this side too as well, but I don't know. So I think at this point, is it this one that is reflecting? Let me hide it. Yeah, it's this one. So maybe we can do the same for this as well. So I'm just going to take it far away. Maybe bring it somewhere here and just rotate it like so. And then maybe I will duplicate this and bring it to the back and just scale, take it to the side view, bring it here. And I'm just going to press R to just rotate that on the X. So this is what we have. So let's see how this looks, because we just want it to emit some light. Alright, so that backlight is already killing off the whole scene, so I'm just going to delete it. I don't think we need it, so we're just going to keep it like this. Or do we need that? No, first let's see how it looks from here. Let me delete first, see how that looks. I actually feel the backlight is quite important too, or maybe what I'll do is for the emission strength, maybe we can increase that. No, I'm just going to keep the backlight there. Now to finish up the animation, you can just come to your rendering preset here, based on wherever you want it saved, and I'm just going to click on this folder here, and wherever you want it saved, you can actually create a new folder for it. Maybe you can just name it as Porsche, and you just click enter, then double click on this, click accept. Then once you have done that, you can just press Ctrl F12 and you can render this animation. Thank you so much guys for watching. If you found this tutorial helpful, please don't forget to like and subscribe. If there's any commercial you would like to see me remake, let me know in the comment section. See you some other time, and bye for now.